All right, everybody, we are live with the Working Fans podcast this week, and we're going to do a little review of the WWE and AEW this week. But we got to start off, AJ, with WrestleMania 39, night one. Started with a banger. Man, what a difference a few days is going to make.
Yeah.
It started this, man. We were just so happy about this show. And we'll kick it off with the first match, which actually, this probably was the low part of night one. Austin Theory versus John Cena.
Yeah, it was the low part. I got to tell you, WrestleMania Night 1 had me energized like Dubbies. Punch and Punch actually gets me going for all of my workouts. I use that product now religiously as my pre-workout, and WrestleMania Night 1 actually did the same thing for me. It was absolutely incredible. Really, the only match that wasn't great was the John Cena Austin Aries.
Austin Theory.
Not Austin Aries, Austin Theory. Sorry. Ooh, my bad.
Yeah, Aries probably wouldn't be.
No, Austin Aries probably would have looked the same as John Cena now. That's a little less tan and a little less jacked up.
I just thought it was a real basic match, if anything. You know, it just wasn't really anything. I mean, if you're expecting more from John Cena, then don't.
Well, the problem is when you're off as much as John Cena is, and remember, John Cena wasn't exactly known for his breathtaking matches before when he was working full time. It was pretty much a prototype match every time, pun intended. Yes. However, it was also he's had time off. What more could anybody have expected?
Absolutely. And let's get to night one still. I'm not going to go through all these matches, but actually, I'll just say the Street Profits won this WrestleMania showcase with Strowman, Ricochet. This actually over-delivered.
Yeah. So thankfully, this tag match actually completely over-delivered. Everybody in it worked their ass off. Good for the Street Profits. The one thing for the Street Profits for me, I would love to see a heel turn.
Yeah.
If you want to advertise these guys, turn them heel, frickin', give them a chance to really be a little bit more serious and a little less of the cartoonish characters.
Yeah, that's how I felt. Dawkins, the part where he just took down Strowman, I thought it was really a nice showcase for him, looking like the strong man, because he's a big, strong guy, but they don't really play into that too much.
Now, we forget how big Dawkins is. Dawkins is 6'5", 260, 270 pounds, and we have a tendency of forgetting about that because of the way that they wrestle.
Right, and I would say for a while, Ford just outshadowed him a little bit with the personality and his height, his leapfrogs, and all his aerial ability. And I would say the one knock you had on Ford over the years, seems like he's working on that too, is his physique. This guy,
he put on size.
Yeah, so it's like, God, ain't no shortage of talent in that family.
These guys could be a legit badass tag team if they wanted them to be. They don't have to turn them into the clowns that they do.
Seth Rollins versus Logan Paul.
Delivered.
Great. Yeah, Logan Paul always delivers. This might be his last match for now. KSI, his YouTube buddy that he boxed one time, was there helping him. He was dressed as the whatever that energy thing was, that Prime water. And you texted me, you said, I don't trust that Prime bottle. And I was like, yeah, and I thought maybe Jake, but no, KSI. There's a spot where everybody saw it where Logan accidentally does the splash on KSI through the table. This was so well done, the timing of it and everything. And this match delivered. Great job, Seth Rollins.
Yeah, no, absolutely. This match was by far one of the best matches of the night. I'm not surprised by it though. Logan Paul delivers every time. He's worked his ass off. He does a great job. I know people hate on him, but hey, I'll take his matches over a lot of the people that are working.
I'm going to skip McAfee and Miz. I'm going to skip the Damage Control match with Rey and Lita. I thought those weren't really that big a deal. And I'm going to go just into these last final three. Rey Mysterio, Dominic. Again, I thought Dominic really delivered. At the time, I really loved the entrance until I realized that I had some footage in there of a Nazi train. Was it
The entrance was well thought out and planned, except for one part. your prison compound. I think there's plenty of prisons they could have used.
Yeah.
When you're in California, they have a place called Alcatraz.
Right.
I don't know why they would use stock footage from Auschwitz.
Anyway, getting back to the match, Dom takes the loss. Ray ends up getting the win. Well, I think we were surprised originally, but then we thought when Bad Bunny being there and then setting a possibly match for Puerto Rico that Ray might win, and Ray did, and it looks like we are. We'll get to that on Monday. We'll skip to that later. Looks like we are setting up a match.
We do have to give some credit here to Dom. Dom has come into his own.
Yeah.
He's doing a great job with his character. He's doing a great job in the ring. I mean, he's still not the greatest worker in the ring, but he's still only 25 years old, for Christ's sakes. Give the kid time on his work rate. His persona is fantastic.
Speaking of Judgment Day, some people will say this was the match of the weekend. It is arguable. Rhea Ripley versus Charlotte Flair tore it up. I would say because of the storyline build and just the way Charlotte Flair has been booked the last few years. Almost reminds me of Cena in the sense that she was really kind of overexposed a little bit. Super talented, though. But I just wasn't really like, I thought it'd be maybe fine, decent. No. This was not fine, decent. These two girls killed it.
The funny thing is I've heard that she's been overexposed, but if you think about how much time she has taken off over the last couple years, that's within the last 2 years, she has taken off a tremendous amount of time between surgeries, between rest time. We also forget she's not young. She's 37 years old.
Right.
I mean, I know that's relatively young, but in wrestling years, that's especially for, and I hate to say this, for the female wrestlers, unless you're natty, how many female wrestlers work past 40?
Right. Well, we'll find out. I mean, obviously, Lita, maybe the game will change. Lita and Trish are back.
Yeah, but Lita hasn't worked past 40. Lita's worked one match a year for the last 10 years. That's not working past 40.
Got a couple tag recently. But anyway. Owens and Zayn, feel-good moment of the night, feel-good moment of the whole week, I would imagine. They get the job done. They beat the Usos. First time since WrestleMania 1 we had a tag team main event. I thought it delivered.
Well, it was also a hell of a match. I mean, the storyline itself was fantastic, but then the two teams came out there and literally beat the living hell out of each other. Yeah, we forget how good the Usos are, I think, in general, because you talk about oversaturation. On the times when Roman's off, the Usos are the ones who are carrying the ball and are there every week, twice a week. And they could easily be oversaturating your TV, but they've managed to keep them fresh and keep them entertaining.
Absolutely. Night 2, I'm going to skip the first two here, really. Lesnar beat Omos. Thought that was actually better than night 1's for opening match.
I thought the match was better than it could have been.
Yeah.
They did a good job of booking Omos as a heel, and they did a good job of showing how strong he is and how dominant he could be.
Rousey and Shayna won. I thought Shayna looked like she got hurt at one point, so this match was a little bit of a cluster.
Well, Rousey was also hurt going into the match, so now you've got neither one of them being able to really work in the match, which is why they had to finish the way that they did, with them only wrestling for a combined, I think, 1 minute.
Gunther and Sheamus and Drew McIntyre, match of the night, I think, on night 2. Also in that running for match of the weekend. These guys just beat the hell out of each other and seem to have a good time doing it.
Yeah, that's the thing, is they have a great time actually doing it. And that's the fun part of, and the fun aspects to it, is these are three guys who not only give it, but they take it as well as they give it. Because lots of guys can give punishment. Not everybody can take punishment.
I saw a thing where Drew McIntyre's contract might be coming to an end. I note that because he did take the pin here too.
He did. I don't look for his contract to be a problem.
Yeah.
I find it hard to believe that WWE is looking to let him go. But this is a guy who could be a megastar anywhere he goes.
And just to segue into our final segment later, he's a guy that could headline a Wembley Stadium or be a big part of that under the
if he headlined Wembley Stadium for another organization, that would be absolutely huge for that organization.
Would be. All right. Belair, Asuka. I thought this was a solid match. Maybe not as good as the women's match the night before, but that had big, stiff competition. But I thought they did a good job. Belair did great. Asuka, to me, Asuka just shows like she's one of the finest in-ring competitors when it comes to the ladies. Maybe doesn't get her due overall, but I thought these two did good.
Yeah, and they told a good story. Even the ending was a good story with the missing the mist, doing everything that they needed to do. Both of them are tremendous athletes. I don't know if their styles necessarily mesh together. Sometimes styles just don't really mesh well.
Right.
I thought it was a little awkward at times, just because it seemed like there was a delay sometimes in Bianca waiting for moves from Asuka, just because she didn't quite know where to take them from. But overall, I thought it was a great match.
Snoop Dogg did his thing. Shane McMahon came back, tore his quad immediately, and then Snoop Dogg kind of saves the segment with the worst looking elbow of all time on Miz. And congrats to Snoop and Miz for at least salvaging this somehow a little bit.
No, 100%. And like we talked about during the week, Miz is a professional. We expect that from him. I don't know if it's fair to expect that from him, but we expect that from him in that situation. And for Snoop to be able to go in there and do what he did, I don't know if somebody was in his ear because I'm sure that he had an earpiece in there somewhere going, hey, we need to salvage this. But either way, great job by Snoop.
Absolutely. Edge Finn Balor, Hell in a Cell. Edge gets
Hell
the
of a
win.
match.
What's that?
Hell of a match.
And Balor showing just how tough he is, got stapled in the middle of the match so they could keep going.
Yeah, they actually panned away so that they could stick a needle in his head to numb the area so they could freaking staple his skull so that he could finish the match. If that's not a badass, I don't know what is.
It's just unreal. And
By the way, those two, that's another chance at match of the weekend because those two tore the freaking house down.
And the final match, I think if people got a different finish, I think people were about Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns. I thought, again, this was an incredible match as well. This was quite an experience, back and forth, so many near falls. And I had this on in my truck as I'm listening to it, and I can't really watch it fully, and I'm enjoying the ride initially. So I ended up going back to watch it just because I enjoyed it so much. And
It's the first WrestleMania in years
right,
where I didn't feel like even during the match,
right.
I didn't know who was going to walk out with the belt.
Yeah, and the one time Cole kind of would have I thought gave it away was almost that last couple seconds, but I didn't know how because it made no sense because Cole was like, Cody's gonna do it, he's gonna do it, and he's getting ready to do that third crossroads we always hit, and I'm just like, wait, but it was all happening because Paul's getting on the apron. I'm like, when Paul's over there, in my mind, we got rid of Solo. We got rid of
yeah, but here's my problem, and this is the one time being a former wrestler hurts.
Yeah,
I'm looking at it. He's hit the two crossroads. For the third one, he's backed himself into the corner.
right.
There's no room to actually do the move there.
No, it makes sense now. Yeah, for me, but I'm watching it. Because I knew something was coming, but I was very confused because they had told such a great story. I got caught up in it, and I'm just like, wait, what the fuck is going on? And Solo, and I'm like, son of a bitch. And even part of me was like, nah, they ain't gonna do it. They ain't gonna do it. He's gonna kick out. And I'm like, nah, they're gonna do it.
Yeah, well, when I saw him push back into the corner, I was like, ah, crap, something's coming.
Yeah. So we'll move right on to Monday Night Raw, just because there's so much wrestling this week. And I just wanted, before we get into that opening segment, we'll put that with the close segment. I'm just looking back at some of the other parts of the show here. I know we had a face-off between Belair and Ripley, and we talked about this. It seems like we're building towards a unification championship match, maybe at WrestleMania 40.
Yeah, and the thing is, they were so vague about it, and so vague about, hey, eventually I'm going to come and get you.
Right.
It was very vague. It was very nice because it was a chance to turn back Raw back before the ones that we've enjoyed for the last year. So it's nice to go back and revisit Raw the way we really like it from like 5 years ago.
We'll get to more about that in a minute. I do like that we're setting up Belair and Asuka, Belair and Ripley at some point. I'd like to see Belair working with maybe Charlotte at some point. I think she could keep busy, and I think I was telling you I'd like to see Ripley just go through some of these legends like Lita, Trish, and maybe Beth Phoenix comes back at some point too.
Yeah, her in a matchup with Beth Phoenix would be really good. I'm not sure how long. I'm not sure how long of a match any of those guys can actually do right now.
Yeah.
Beth Phoenix seems to be in phenomenal shape. But the other two, Trish and Lita, as much as I hate to say it, because I do have the utmost respect for both of them, I'm not sure how long of a match that they could do with somebody at the level of Rhea Ripley.
We got Randy asking. We're gonna get to this in a moment too. I'll get that question out there, AJ. But first, let's get through this real quick. Street Profits lost to Zayn and Owens. I kept thinking heel turn at some point here. We didn't get it yet. I hope the Street Profits do turn heel. Randy, I will display your comment in a minute. Other than that, we saw Seth Rollins out here. Seth Rollins, the guy I think could end up challenging Roman at some point too. There's still a story to be told there.
Seth Rollins is very over as a babyface right now. I mean, nobody's over as much as Sami Zayn, but Seth Rollins is very over right now.
Very over, very over.
There's another guy that they could get over, and I don't think that they've put enough time into it.
Yeah.
Sheamus.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Sheamus is a babyface with the banger matches he's been having. Him and Roman Reigns could tear the freaking house down.
And before we get to the end of Raw, I'm going to talk about this, and then we'll get to Randy's comment first, actually. But we'll talk about the other one other thing. We did mention it earlier, Bad Bunny, Mysterio, possibly teaming up at the WWE Backlash in Puerto Rico. We say that because Austin Theory beats Rey Mysterio on Raw. Another big win for Austin Theory, rounding them up. And then, we had Dominic interfering, and Bad Bunny and Dom get into it. And Bad Bunny, it's like punks out Dom. But then here comes Damian Priest. You're not punking out Damian Priest. And
one of those guys is a legitimate badass.
Bad Bunny gets up again, punks out Dom again. And how Damian Priest really gets mad and puts Bad Bunny through the table. They talk about how they used to be partners, and Damian says he's lucky. I like that guy. This would have been a lot worse. So I thought we really set up Damian here, at least as a badass.
Well, like I said, the problem here is one of these guys is legitimately a badass. But only one of them.
Yeah. So here we go. Do you think we get UFC fighters on WWE TV and W Wrestling at UFC shows? Yeah, I think that's going to happen at some point. And it definitely on the shows, the cross promotion. Here's a funny one, AJ. We were talking about this the other day, I think. And I was like, okay, maybe I didn't even talk about this with you, so I could be wrong. But all right, UFC fighters, I could see some showing up to WWE and then being booked in storylines or something, like a Conor McGregor or somebody. But I was like, man, Brock and Ronda, I think their fighting days are kind of done. And I'm like, it's not like I could see a WWE guy going there and fighting right now. And then somebody said a name I hadn't thought about. Any guess?
Bobby Lashley?
No, that's a good one too. But again, Bobby get a little. But you could do a special fight there. Bobby Lashley and Brock, if you wanted to book that in the UFC.
I mean, also remember Bobby Lashley undefeated in MMA.
No, he had a couple of losses early in his career.
Oh, did he?
He did. Yeah.
I know that AEW has a guy who's undefeated in MMA.
Fuck out of here. But anyway, my point is there was one name. Gable Stevenson.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Who has such a pedigree in amateur wrestling. Could probably have signed in UFC and gone to MMA and gone.
Not just him. His brother, don't forget, also has a hell of a pedigree in amateur wrestling.
So I do wonder. You never know. It'd be very interesting to see if we see something with the Stevensons in UFC or whatever. But let's get to the final match. Final match. The final segment of Raw. In the beginning segment.
I would like to mention one other person. Even though she's past, I think, her fighting prime. Asuka has a background in MMA also.
Yeah, I mean, it would.
So doesn't the other person who has a background in MMA a little bit also is oh God, what is his name? The Japanese legend, freaking we don't Shinsuke. Yeah,
Nakamura. I mean, I think it would have to be a special thing, a celebrity. But I want to say, all right, so let's get to the final Raw and the beginning of Raw. Everyone, everybody's talking about Cody Rhodes. All right, he's mad. This starts off good. Like, he's mad and he wants his match back against Roman. He wants it tonight. And part of us are like, can we get it? And then they shoot that down right away. And it's a tag match. And then Heyman hits us with that. You gotta find someone who's stupid enough to be your partner and then they won't get a title shot either. And it's like, huh? And then Brock shows up because Brock can't get a title shot, and everybody's like, yeah. And part of me's like, we don't see Brock on TV. This is interesting, but I don't
And
know.
not only that, but when's the last time you saw Brock really back up anyone?
Yeah, it didn't make sense. I thought it was weird, but everybody was excited about this, and they're like, okay. And then reality comes later. Brock attacks Cody right before the match even gets started, lays him out, and Roman and Sokoa they bail, they leave. I think that a lot of people are talking about how they did not like this show. And we talked about Vince being back. We heard things like medical facility. I pointed out to you there was a point where Kevin Patrick was silent and it was like kind of an awkward silence, like almost he was getting yelled at. You know, there's a lot of things I didn't like around the show. I am interested in the Brock Cody thing because maybe I'm being too much of an optimist, but I think that Cody's going to beat Brock, and we're just stalling till we get to Cody and Roman again at some point.
I think we're interested in Brock Cody just because it's Brock and Cody.
Right.
Unfortunately, that's about it. That's my problem with it is that it's the Raw after WrestleMania.
Right.
What is your favorite Raw of the year every year?
Raw after Mania, usually.
Did this one deliver at all?
No.
Can you look back at this show and go, thank God I was excited about that?
No, I was gonna say I forgot Matt Riddle even came back when we were doing this.
Yeah, even the Matt Riddle part, it's forgettable the way that they brought him back.
Yeah, no, it is. I was
He became just another person beating on Miz.
Yes. Yeah, no, I wasn't a fan of this.
They had an opportunity here coming off of the announcements of the weekend, coming off the announcements of Monday morning. They had an opportunity here to really deliver and go, look, this is what we're going to do. We're going into the future. Hell, Triple H came out and said it. We're going into the future. This is what we're all about. It's just going to get more exciting. But the problem is the most exciting thing that happened on Raw was Triple H coming out and going, this is the future. This is the most exciting.
Yeah. And Triple H looked like he was saying goodbye to me. Now, Triple H is going to appear on SmackDown tonight, too. Which will be interesting to see what Triple H is going to talk about. Because, you know, I don't know why, from a storyline perspective, why we would see Triple H on SmackDown tonight.
I don't know. Yeah. I'm at a loss for words here right now, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Well, let's change it. Let's talk about AEW. It starts off hot this week. We didn't get a match. It's a rare bait and switch, you would say, but I'm not mad at it because when the bait and switches, we were going to get Juice Robinson, Ricky Starks, but instead we get the debut of Jay White in AEW. I'm cool with that because Jay White with Juice helps put down Ricky, and now I would say Jay White, who looked like he was probably going to WWE, but maybe with everything going on, signs with AEW. Good news for AEW.
For the first time in a long time, I enjoyed AEW better than the WWE this week.
AEW felt like the hot hand creatively going in. Now, I would still say WWE is the hot hand, obviously money-wise, because you can't. That's not just going to fall off. That's not how that works. But,
yeah, but it's one of those things, especially when if they're going to do a infusion of money from the UFC from Endeavor. Right. But when it comes to the card this week, they did a great job with your Jay White. Signing Jay White is huge. Jay White's phenomenal. Him and Juice Robinson together are money. Juice Robinson is incredibly entertaining. And then you have him in a storyline with Ricky Starks, who is also incredibly entertaining.
Yeah, no doubt. I'm just gonna we'll finish up. We'll do MJF Day. Thought MJF again shows why he could be a huge baby face, especially in Long Island if he wanted to.
Oh, absolutely. He delivered $1 million. Loved him going off on his teacher. As someone who went through school probably with ADHD myself, yes. Undiagnosed because I'm old and they didn't believe in that shit back then. But to have teachers telling you, and I'm sure you heard this too, teachers would tell you when you had dreams like this, hey, you can't do that. That's
Right.
not what you need to do. You need to focus on this. This is the way life is. And I can see where he's coming from completely. So I loved him going off on his teacher. I loved the whole segment. I loved the singing.
Yeah.
Um,
I
uh,
thought you would.
pr- Pretty much I enjoyed the whole segment. I even liked Sammy Guevara.
Yeah. This is a great segment. Brian Danielson and the Blackpool Combat Club was the other real top segment, I thought, when they shoved that screwdriver in his
It,
face.
the Blackpool Combat Club is fantastic, but here's the problem. You have a whole locker room full of baby faces back there. Not a single one of them had nuts enough to come out
I love
other than
I
Cowboy.
love that. I started thinking about this because it's kind of funny because Dale's it's like no one's gonna help him. Nobody loves you. And it's like they did it. Nobody
No,
loved him.
well, they literally buried every baby face in the locker room.
Right.
Every baby face in the locker room is coming across as a coward now because how as a baby face can you sit back there? Because your job as a baby face is to always do what's right. I've got to be brave. I got to go out there and fight. One person came out.
That was it. Yeah. Final two things. FTR, they are staying with AEW. I think that's not really a surprise now, given everything we talked about. They beat the Guns. I thought the Guns entrance was great coming out the 50 set here. I thought it even made me wonder for a minute if they were going to win because I was like, oh, wow, they invested some time into all this.
Dude, the Guns are not done. This is a team with a bright future.
Yeah, absolutely. But the big thing, take away from AEW, the big announcement by Tony Khan, and it was like, we're going to the UK. And I thought, oh, that's cool. But then he said Wembley Stadium, and I was like, wow, that is.
He actually delivered this time. We talked about this. Oh, great. Another big announcement from Tony Khan.
Right.
How is he not going to deliver this time?
Yeah.
Well, this time he did deliver because Wembley Stadium is an absolutely huge event. That is like going to Madison Square Garden in the U.S., doing it big time.
And they've never been to the UK, so this is a big opportunity. Their UK is starved for some AEW action, so they've only watched it on TV.
Typically, when somebody goes for the first time to the UK, they do a smaller venue first.
Right.
They're going right to the big one. Yeah. This is a stadium the NFL brings a actual game to at least once to twice a year now because you can fit 60 to 70,000 people in there.
I will say this, on paper, it's a little odd because if you look at AEW, when they were first selling out places, it was at the beginning. So we didn't do a stadium then. And then we had CM Punk. Those would have been the two eras where you think we would have gone for this. So I'm saying on paper, as it stands right now, it seems a little odd. But I don't.
They have to deliver a main event. Right. They've got to come up with someone. They've got to come up with something that is going to be a huge main event. If you don't have a huge main event for this, that stadium is really easy to look empty.
Do you think we get CM Punk back?
It's possible CM Punk comes back. It is possible that you get Drew McIntyre.
Right.
If you get Drew McIntyre and you get him in a big match against someone of his equal, then absolutely. But who does he face? If Drew comes in, who does he face?
Absolutely. You could start him off with a world title program. There's other people, obviously, Brian Danielson. You know,
I can tell you this: if Drew McIntyre wins the world championship for AEW at Wembley Stadium,
yeah,
that would be absolutely phenomenal.
So here's what I want to say. Here's some particular guys. We're just going to guess on who could be on there. I'm going to say here's some possibilities. CM Punk comes back. Sting. I say maybe you book Sting's first single match. It could be against Darby.
Or maybe it's Sting's retirement match.
Could be Sting's retirement match. That would be huge as well. Right? Like you said, Drew Galloway, Drew McIntyre, free agent.
Well, you'd have to be Galloway if he comes to AEW.
I know. And I'll throw in one other free agent as a possibility. You never know, could be on this show. Goldberg.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying you're going to. Yeah, but you could make
Did the WWE release Harry Smith is back out there also as a free agent?
Yep, Harry Smith is a guy.
Harry Smith in England would not be a bad one to. Hell, Harry Smith versus Drew Galloway would bring in some ratings in England.
Another guy, he might be out injured right now, but probably around this time. Pac.
Yeah, Pac would be tremendous.
Build up Pac in a big match, absolutely. You know, So there is a potential here for a giant show. They will need it, but
what if we open up that forbidden door and we get Will Ospreay?
Will Ospreay would be the other one. Absolutely. Will Ospreay would be a guy. And I got to think we're going to see, it's not going to be just like, I know they've been doing a better job of separating Ring of Honor, AEW, but to me, you're getting Samoa Joe, you're getting Ring of Honor, you're getting AEW, you're getting every outside. You're pulling out.
You're
all
going to Wembley Stadium. You need to deliver every piece of talent that you have that is worth anything.
Now, here's something I find very strange, and I'm not necessarily a fan of, which I like big events, but and I don't even know if I believe it yet, but Anthony Bowens, somebody asked him on Twitter, All In, August 27th, does this mean we're not getting All Out? And Anthony Bowens says, nope, All Out's the following week. So I don't see how they're going to do that. But here's an idea, if that was true. I'm going to throw it out there. All Out, network special. Do it on TV, make it a big thing the following weekend, and I think that could be fun too.
Well, the thing is, you can have a lot of what you do in England at Wembley Stadium. Yeah. You can make up for a lot of what you do there when you get back to the States for All Out.
Absolutely. So I think there could be something there too. I wouldn't do 2 pay-per-views back to back.
No. Oh God, no. Yeah. Who's paying that much money?
No. I'm not even. I'm going to probably.
No, I'm not freaking paying that.
One
yeah, so, we love wrestling. I'm not spending freaking $120 on freaking.
No, not back-to-back weeks.
At least not if I plan on sleeping in the same room as my wife.
Yeah. All right. On that note, very interested. Hold on. We got Randy here with comments with there. MJF is along as I was like Bret Hart in Canada. Absolutely, that Hart Foundation era where Bret was just hugely over in Canada.
Wait a minute. Bret Hart's from Canada?
Yeah, you haven't heard? Not a fan of Goldberg either. I don't know if you ever heard that, but
yes.
But anyway, fans, that's gonna do it this week. And if you like wrestling, try out Vinny Berry.
Read about the Northern Wrestling Federation in the book presented by Russellville.com, The Pro Wrestling Vault, Volume 2. Hear the story of Roger Ruffin, the man who trained Carl Anderson, the Monster Abyss, Jordan Clearwater, Chris Harrison, Jillian Hall.
Plus 45 other short stories including Jazz, Bobby Eaton, Kamala, Thunder Rosa, Mario Mancini, Scott Casey, PJ Black, Kerry Morton, Sal Renaro, Jeremiah Plunkett, Colby Carino, Bam Bam Malone, and many others.
Get your book today at Russellville.com. Russellville. It's where wrestling lives.